Today in the morning, I was sitting in my balcony. I woke up early and it was around 5 a.m. in the morning and it was so cool and pleasant. Otherwise, it's become hot nowadays. So I was sitting in my balcony and there was cool breeze and all the trees, the green trees and the leaves were moving and swaying. It was such a beautiful and a soothing atmosphere. I could hear the cooing of a cuckoo, melodious. It really had a very soothing effect on me. And I was reminded of John Keats and his poem, A Thing of Beauty. And what I felt was that each and every word of this poem I could relate with. It really, this cool, beautiful atmosphere, the green trees swaying, the sound of a cuckoo, so melodious it is, the cool breeze, the flowers, the petals of which were flowing down. It was looking so beautiful. And I could relate with what John Keats has said here, and quickly we'll go through what A Thing of Beauty has to say to us. Now this poem is of class 12. This is the fourth poem and it is written by John Keats. John Keats died very young. He is a romantic poet. He was born in London, but he died at the age of just 25 in Rome. And it was due to some sickness. But, at such a young age, he expired, he died. But he had so much to give to us. His poems, his odes, they are really, read everywhere. He is known, for sensual imagery, and he has given us beautiful poems. His epic, Endymion, is very famous, and if you get to read it, you will really enjoy the beauty of it. In that there is this Endymion who is a shepherd and he falls in love with Diana, and it's a romantic story and you will really enjoy it. And John Keats is also, his poems were lyrical. You can even sing. Lyrical is, he writes in those words which a person can even sing. So they were lyrical. And from that Endymion, this is the first part of Endymion. He starts by telling us about the beauty of things, beautiful things that earth, nature, God has bestowed on us, and how we are ignoring these bounties of nature. And Keats wants us to connect to these beauties of nature. Alright, so we'll start with the poem and then I'll quickly tell you about each stanza and all, and the poetic devices. And let me tell you in the beginning only that this poem, A Thing of Beauty, is, although you can divide it into 4 stanzas, but all throughout they are rhyming couplets. Rhyming couplets means couple means 2. Alright, so every 2 lines are rhyming to each other, like the last 2 words are rhyming. So we call them as rhyming couplets. Alright, and he says in this poem that a thing of beauty, it can be anything for you, because as I told you before also, beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. The sun is beautiful, the moon is beautiful. He has also named so many things, the flowers, everything. You can find anything beautiful. So anything that is beautiful is a joy forever. This joy, the happiness that a beautiful thing gives a person can never be diminished, can never be removed from the heart, from the memory of any person. It has such an everlasting effect on us. And this keeps on increasing. It will never diminish. Every time you think of anything of beauty, it will always, the pleasure that it will give, the beauty will always increase. It will increase the joy and pleasure in us. And he goes on to say that these things of beauty create a quiet bower for us. Bower, it creates a shade type of atmosphere for us. What is shade? Shade is a positive word. You know, when a traveler is traveling long and he sees the shade of a tree, it gives him pleasure. A soothing effect it creates on him. He wants to stand there for some time. He wants to rest there. It eases him of the tiredness that he was in. Even the animals, the sheep, the cow, they find pleasure in the shade of a tree. So these things of beauty, they create a bower. He has used a metaphor here to say that it creates such a peaceful atmosphere that a person can sleep peacefully, can live a good, healthy life. You know, if you are happy, if you are joyful, it creates, anything of beauty that creates joy in you will always remove all the sad days, remove all the anxieties, the causes of depression. It will minimize all of that. And that will bring a good health to you. And you will be able to sleep peacefully. A person sleeps soundly, peacefully when he is healthy. So, Keats says that all these things of beauty, they bring joy in us that is ever increasing. It never diminishes, and it creates a peaceful and a cooling effect just like a shade. And a person can live a healthy and peaceful life. And how can that be? He says that for this we should wreathe. Wreathe means make. We should wreathe a flowery band. What is a flowery band? Flowery band is a garland. You know, how do we make a garland? We connect all the flowers together with a thread. Alright, we connect them together. So, this poet wants us to be attached with the beauties of nature, with all the things that are beautiful. He wants us to connect with earth and the natural beauty that it provides us. The bounties of nature, all this is a God gift for us, for all the creatures, for us, for human beings. And if we wreathe a flowery band, we keep ourselves connected, it has the power to remove the pall of the dark spirits. What is a pall? Pall is a shroud. A covering like a shroud. What is a shroud? When someone dies, we cover the dead body of that person with a shroud. So Keats says that if you are connected with nature, with the beautiful things, if you wreathe a garland, if you connect yourself with nature, then you will forget all the gloomy day, all the sadness that the gloomy days have created. This world is full of cruelty. It is a harsh reality that this world is full of cruelty and cruel people who are running behind materialistic things. And they feel that they will gain pleasure by attaining those materialistic things, and they even sometimes, adopt bad means, wrong ways to get those pleasures. And all this shows what? A lack, a dearth, a scarcity of human noble values. People who adapt such, nature, the cruel ways of to attain materialistic pleasures, the worldly gains, they go into depression. All this creates a depressing atmosphere for the others also. People become anxious, depressed, they feel sad. To remove this sadness, to come out of this, we need to wreath a garland with all the beautiful things that nature has to provide. And Keats says that all the beautiful things are so powerful that they can create an everlasting happiness, pleasure in us, so that we are able to come out of these harsh realities of life. We are going into depression, we are so full of tension. But if we are connected with nature, this will diminish. This creates an everlasting pleasure in us. And then he moves on to say that there are different shapes of beauty. Eternal beauty, eternal, never ending, immortal. And he names some of these things like the sun, the moon. He even mentions the trees. The trees, both old and young, even the sprouting one. So beautiful they are. They provide us shade. All the trees provide shade to the simple sheep. Simple sheep, he has mentioned here, is also, for the sheep are known as the most simple creatures. And he also wants to say that there are so many simple-minded men. Christ used to call all the shepherds as the simple men. And Christ always wanted to help them to come out of all this life full of sin. So here Keats says, he mentions that these trees provide shade to all the simple men, that is, all the things of beauty bring solace and peace even to the simple-minded men. And he moves on to talk about the golden daffodils. And he describes these golden daffodils as, he says that they live in the green world, because the daffodils are golden in color and they have got green stem and green leaves, and when they grow together in hundreds and thousands, they look so very beautiful. He also talks about rivers and the rills. What are rills? Rills are the streams, and the cooling effect that these streams, these rivers, they provide in the hot season. They are like a covert. They are like a cooling covert, a cooling cover. The cool breeze that blows from there gives a cooling effect in the hot season and soothes a person. He also talks about the mid-forest break. Mid-forest break, at the center of the forest there is a clear patch and there are trees all around, and he says that there are musk roses growing there which have a good fragrance, and the whole area is full of good smell, fragrances all around, and it gives such a nice atmosphere. Whoever's goes and passes through that will surely, will enjoy the beauty of nature and will forget all the problems. Keats does not only restrict or limit the things of beauty to only the natural beauties of the earth. He goes on to talk about the deeds of the mighty dead. He says the men, the great men, the mighty people, the martyrs, who sacrificed or who lost their lives doing for a noble cause, doing something good. For a noble cause they died. Their legends, their lovely tales, their stories are also things of beauty that inspire man to do good, that motivates man to become good, to do good deeds. And in the last two lines, Keats says that these stories, these sagas, and all the things of beauty, they are like immortal drink that God is showering on us, that God is standing at the edge of the heaven and like a eternal fountain, He's flowing all these beautiful things, the deeds of beauty, the deeds of these mighty men on us. So beautifully Keats has brought out, and the imagery that he has used, you can imagine the flowery band, the daffodils, everything. So this was the poem. Now I quickly run through the stanzas and the lines, the main points of the poem, and then we'll quickly do the poetic devices. I'll go very fast, alright? So I told you in the beginning only that this poem is in the form of rhyming couplets because every two lines rhyme, the last two words of them. Of the lines rhyme, alright? Every two lines have got a different rhyming scheme, alright? And then he goes on to say that a thing of beauty is a joy forever. It always creates everlasting pleasure in us, and which will always increase. It will never diminish or never get deleted from anyone's mind or heart, because it makes a special place in your mind, your heart, which always, whenever you think about those beautiful things, that will give you pleasure. Alright? So then he moves on to say that these things, all the beautiful things, they create a quiet bower for the people, and quiet bower is like a shade that gives a soothing effect, and a person can easily sleep peacefully and enjoy good health. Alright, so if you are in amidst beautiful things, you will always have this effect will be there on you, that you will be happy and you will lead a good healthy life. So he says, if you want to lead a good healthy life, then you have to keep yourself connected with nature by reading, by making a flowery band or a garland. That means getting attached to the beautiful things that nature or earth has to provide. Alright, then he says that earth is full of gloom. This whole life, this is a fact. This is a harsh reality, that it is full of gloom, full of darkness. Alright, and it lacks good natured people. I told you there is a dearth of noble values. Alright, and noble nature, noble values, and there is tension all around, there is depression all around, but these things of beauty will give you pleasure, and you will be able to escape from the harsh realities of life. Alright, and then he moves on to say that these shapes of beauty, he has used the word shapes of beauty. This is also a metaphor. I'll do it with you. So he says these shapes of beauty have got the power. They are so powerful that it has got the power to remove the pall. Pall, that means all the shroud-like dark spirits and all, that it removes all of that. Then he moves on to name the beautiful things, and he says that there is eternal beauty of the sun, never-ending beauty of the sun, the moon. Sun comes out in the morning and moon comes out at the night, and they both have got their own beautiful effects on us. So sun, the moon, and then the green trees. He talks about both the green trees, whether they are old ones that give you a lot of shade, lot of fruits, everything, and wood also. And he talks about the young trees, the sprouting trees also. All right, and then because they give, they provide shade to the simple sheep. Alright, and then he also moves on to say that the daffodils, they look so beautiful. He talks about the rivers and the cooling effect that the rivers and the streams have to give to us. Alright, then he also talks about the musk roses that are found in the forest, which has a beautiful fragrance, nice fragrance, which everyone can enjoy. Alright, then he moves on to talk about the stories of brave and mighty men who have died, who have given their lives, sacrificed their lives for a noble cause. And he says that their stories, their lovely tales, their legends, their sagas will always be remembered, and they are also things of beauty that we should remember. We should inspire ourselves, we should motivate ourselves to do some good deeds so that we are also remembered after we leave this earth. Alright? So, and he says in the last two lines that all these things of beauty and the lovely tales of the mighty deeds are like endless fountain of immortal drink. What is this immortal drink? You know, you all must have read about the gods. You know, they found a pot with nectar in it, and when they drank that, they became immortal. That is, they would never die. So that is the immortal drink. So he says that all these stories and the beautiful things, they provide an immortal drink, and it seems that God is showering, bestowing, God is pouring this on us from the edge of the heaven. Alright. So now quickly we'll do with the poetic devices. The first poetic device I told you is the rhyming couplet. Alright, and rhyming scheme I'm sure you will be able to do by looking at the last words, alright, of each stanza. Then alliteration is what I told you. Alliteration, when the poet uses the words, he purposely uses those words which have the starting with the same consonant together or in the same sentence. For in this poem we have band to bind, you know, when he talks about the flowery band. So this BB, alright, this is alliteration. Cooling covert, which the streams have to give. So covert is a cover. Here CC, cooling covert, is alliteration. And noble nature, when he says that there is dearth of noble nature, noble values. So when he uses these words, this phrase, so NN is the alliteration, right? Next he goes on to talk about mighty dead. He uses this phrase mighty dead, mighty great men, dead, already gone. So this is an oxymoron where almost two contradictory words are used together, two things which are opposite. Alright, then next he uses his transferred epithet. What is this? This is a poetic device which is descriptive form of a word. So when he talks about gloomy days of all the unhealthy and over darkened ways, he says he's using this word gloomy to tell about the over darkened ways and all. So this is a transferred epithet. He talks about days that are gloomy. Alright, so he has described that. Then he uses next poetic device is symbolism. Now he has talked about simple sheep. Simple sheep is also referred to the creatures, these animals. And sheep are known as the most simple and the simple animals. And Christ has mentioned in the stories of Christ or in the Bible, he mentions the simple sheep to the simple shepherds, actually he used to say, for the simple mankind. Alright, so this is a symbolism. Next is imagery. I told you that Keats is known for his sensual imagery, the words, that the phrases and the words that he uses, that actually you can imagine them when when you recite the poem, when you read the poem, you will be able to picturize what he actually wants to say. So here he has talked about flowery band. He says you read a flowery band, so you can imagine that you are reading a band with a flowery band with the earth, the beauties of earth. Alright, So this flowery band is an imagery. Then shady boon, he says all the old and the young trees, they are a shady boon to the sheep. So they provide it's like a boon. So this, you know, you can imagine a shady grove of trees and relaxing sheep underneath it. This creates an imagination. You can imagine. Then the daffodils in the green, so he says that all, you know, daffodils, they grow together, many of them grow together, and when you look at them, all the golden flowers and with the green, you know, stem and green leaves, they look so beautiful. So that creates an imagery. Then the clear rills, he says that clear rills, the streams are flowing and the breeze, the cool breeze is there, and it is creating a cooling covert over there, so that, you know, you can imagine how the streams are flowing and you are feeling cool. And then cooling covert, and then endless fountain, that he talks about the immortal drink, and you can imagine that God is, you know, showering this endless fountain. He's there with the fountain and showering on us the immortal drink. All right. So this were the imagery. Next, last poetic device that he has used is metaphor. Now metaphor is number one when he talks about the power quiet. I told you that he has used these words to show that it has these beautiful things have got a cooling effect, a shade-like effect it gives. So this is the first metaphor. Second metaphor is wreathing a flowery band. He's actually not telling you to make a garland. He is actually wanting you to connect with the beauties of nature, with the earth. So he uses these words. Then pall, I told you it is a covering which we use when a person dies. On the dead body we put that cover. So that is a pall or a shroud. And he says that, you know, if you connect with nature, then all the bad things that are in your life, the gloomy days, the depression, the reasons of tension, all will get removed. Alright, and then last he says endless fountain of immortal drink. He is actually talking about actually God is not bestowing showering on you any drink. He says that God has already given us, bestowed to us these beauties, these bounties of nature, and all the mighty dead have left such wonderful, lovely tales, the stories, that it seems that it is an endless fountain of immortal drink that is being bestowed to us by God, and we need to make full use of it. We need to learn so much from these men of great deeds. We need to change our lives according to that. We need to get motivated and inspired and do good deeds, so that when we leave this world, we are also remembered, our deeds are also remembered, our sagas are also remembered after we go. And Keats also wants us to admire the beauties of nature, because they have got the power of everlasting pleasure, to live life happily without a burden. Although there are harsh realities, there are cruelties, men are selfish, we all live in this sad and depressed atmosphere, but these things of beauty have got the power to minimize all this and create an everlasting pleasure in us, in our minds, in our heart. Such a beautiful poem it is, right? And I'm sure you're going to read the poem. I have not left any point. I've covered everything. And if you have any problem, please put it in the comment section. I will definitely see how to solve them. And if you want to mail me, then I have provided my email address also. Please put your queries there. And if you have not subscribed my channel, please, and tell your friends also to subscribe. Enjoy the beauties of nature. Goodbye.